Alright, boys and girls, you're listening to Vol, and it's time for another game of Warhammer Fantasy Battles. The last week, the previous Sunday gone, I actually had a great game against an Orcs and Goblins player that I hadn't played against before, and we had a ripper of a game that I managed to win, but I forgot to take pictures, and it was a good-looking game too, but sorry guys, managed to miss that one out. But here I am again this week. It's currently a Saturday, May the 2nd, at the time this game was played. I've got a game coming up tomorrow as well, I think. And this particular game is against Dark Elves. Now, you might remember this guy's army because he faced me in the previous NatCon tournament we passed. And he was the guy that I played against in round one and came away with a solid victory. And that was a great game, and he's a great guy, and this is his house that I'm actually playing at. And as you can see, he's actually got a couple of really cool-looking bits of terrain. You can't see them too well because there's a cottage and a tower on the far side with a hill. But trust me, it looked really cool in person. Also, the lighting for his room that we were playing in was a bit dull, so it kind of looks like the battle is very dark and sinister, which gives a really good vibe for these photos, although unfortunately for some of the shots you won't be able to see units too well. Anyway, it was quite a long game, and there was quite a lot of stuff that went on, and I took lots of pictures, so I'm going to get stuck straight into it. My deployment from left to right, as Tomb Kings is normal, of course. Two Tomb Scorpions on the left, and then in front of the cottage there's a unit of 10 archers and another 20 with the king in it. Behind the archers in the middle is the Tomb Guard, the Casket of Souls and the Catapult on the hill as usual, the Carrion behind them, all of the chariots on the far right hand flank, along with the unit of melee skeletons on the right hand side of the casket, which is a bit obscured in the photo. And gonna go next photo. So, the Dark Elves, on the far right flank, we've got Dark Riders, Chariot, Hydra, and behind the woods, we've got the Harpies. In the middle, we've got a large unit of 25 Spearmen with one level 2 Sorceress in it, and a unit of unpainted Blackguard, but I can assure you that there are 15 Blackguard unpainted. They stand out like a sore thumb. They're all white, and next to them, they've got the Cauldron of Blood with 2 units of repeater bolt thrower, repeater crossbowmen next to them, and a big unit of Witch Elves on the far left. There's also a unit of Harpies to the far left out of the side of the photo, and of course the Shades have deployed behind the forest up on the hill next to that tower. Next photo, just a bit of a look at that. You can see my right-hand side flank with the chariots over here, as well as the melee skeletons, a bit darkened, but it's so grim and dark and eerie that this is going to look like a real moody game of Warhammer. Loving the atmosphere. All ready for you can just imagine rain and thunderstorms in the background and vampire counts showing up later on. But anyway, the second unit of Harpies in the far backfield. Next photo as well, the Tomb Kings win the roll for the first turn. I actually deployed quicker than he did, so I got the +1 and managed to take this. So moved out with my chariots for starters, and as you can see they're just moving around the hill, just getting in charge range with the Prince's unit out in front too, and the Carrion have actually flown over to the far background next to where those Harpies are. And that's all that's going on in this picture. In fact, I think you may have seen part of the Dark Elf turn 1 in this shot as well. At any rate, we're just going to go to the next photo where you can see the left-hand side flank. My Scorpions have largely remained where they are, with the Dark Riders just moving onto the hill to get some shots off on them, and of course the Hydra and Chariot moving forward a little bit, and the Carrion and March blocking the Spearmen in the far background. Going to go straight to the next photo where you can see a better view of the Carrion doing their thing. You can see that the Harpies have actually shielded the unit there, so I can't charge the Spearmen, but not that I would want to with the Carrion. One thing to point out is if you have a look at the Blackguard, they are seriously depleted because I've killed about 7 guys just due to all of my mass shooting from the Chariots and all the Archers, and of course the Magic Phase, casting Smiting on the Chariots and Archers, everything going off. He's already blown a Dispel Scroll on his on the casket, so no casket just yet. He's dispelled a bunch of stuff. He's got 3 Dispel Scrolls in his army. He's got the Ring of Hotek, which doesn't affect my army list, but he's practicing a tournament list at the moment, I believe. Next picture, we're looking at an overview here of sort of what's going to happen. This is my Magic Phase, so I planned on charging the repeater crossbowmen with the Prince's unit in front, but I realized if I did that, I would overrun into the Harpies, and because it would take a whole fresh round of combat to deal with the Harpies, it would be his following turn, and he'd be able to charge me in the flank with his Cauldron of Blood, or even worse, his Witch Elves, because if I made contact with the Harpies, they would realign themselves to the Chariots. He ranks them up as he sees fit, and he could actually create a space for the Witch Elves to charge in the flank. So realizing that, even though I got urgency off, I decided not to charge and I decided to move instead. So let's go to the next photo where you can sort of see a bit of a zoomed out look. The battle lines are drawn, and not too much is happening as a result of me deciding not to move over there. So the prince has actually moved his chariots just to the left a little bit, further left in front of where the Tomb Guard are. In the background, the Carrion have moved around a little bit further to march block the Hydra. Next picture, you can see a sort of a foreground view here. This is a very nice photo, very dark and sinister, but you can see that the prince has actually got into position to charge the Blackguard instead, although still, if I charge the Blackguard, I'll overrun into the Cauldron of Blood and I'll get charged from the side by the Spearman. So again, still blocked from charges, and I've realised at this point that I deployed badly. I really should have put the princes in all the chariots on the left-hand flank instead, because my opponent's put in some really good maneuvers there, preventing me from really getting what I wanted done in the centre. But good photo nonetheless. Next picture, you can see the shades moving out of the forest, getting in range of whatever. I've reformed the skeletons over in the picture on the bottom left with a Hierophant in it. The purpose of that is that in case I got a free spell to cast a magic missile at the shades, it really would have been worth it. D6 strength 4 hits on the shades without having to roll to hit is awesome. So that was the plan, but unfortunately I needed my spells to cast urgency on the chariots to get them even further to the left. And as you can see in this photo, the chariots have gone very far past the casket, past the hill, way over to the middle of the battlefield, where they are now in a position to charge the Spearman and the Blackguard. So that's the plan there. Next picture, the Harpies have just flown in right next to the casket. If I don't do anything about it, the Harpies are going to charge something, but now, of course, they have to take a terror test on Leadership 6 because they've flown beyond range of the General. By the way, the General of his army is actually the Death Hag manning the Cauldron of Blood. Interestingly enough, he's got no Dreadlord, he's got no level 4. Very interesting army, very cool army. It's not the optimum Dark Elf build you can take, but he gets kudos for trying something stylish and wins composition points on that in tournaments. So the Harpies are stuck there for now. Next picture, over the left-hand flank, looks like the Hydra and the Chariot are moving forward a bit closer to the center, and they'll be in a position to start attacking me. The King's in the Arch unit to give smiting to them, but he's probably going to have to try something else a bit later on. Just going to skip this photo and go to the next one. We can see the Dark Riders just laying waste, well, trying to, just zipping away with their bows and the Scorpions. The Scorpions not taking any wounds from these guys just yet because it's just such high toughness. And again, I felt like I've deployed the Scorpions a bit badly. I mean, they've protected an entire flank, but I didn't really have anything on that flank anyway, and there's a cottage protecting my flank in that regard, so I should have really kept the Scorpions in a better position, I believe. Oh well, maybe next time. Next picture, so now you can really see where I've sort of changed my mind. The Princess unit and the Chariots have just all lined themselves up, so now I can charge the Harpies in front of the Spearmen, and I can also charge the Blackguard, which have been severely depleted by my shooting, and hopefully really break both units, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough. So next photo, you can see where the real action is. I've moved the Carrion in front of the Hydra to prevent him from charging the Chariots with the Hydra, and same thing with the Chariot, but technically he can. If he charges with the Hydra first, I'll have to reform the Carrion in front of the Hydra, and then he can declare a charge. Well, he can declare a charge and then move it if he does the Chariot second. Advanced Warhammer players will know what I'm talking about if you look at the picture carefully, and he will successfully be able to charge my Chariots in the flank with his Chariot if I don't break his Spearman in one go. And the King's actually flown over next to the Chariot in the hopes of using urgency to actually move into the side and kill it with a strength 7 hit. In the background, the Harpies actually fled from the charge of the Chariots. The Chariots just went straight into the Dark Elf Spearmen and will be attacking them in my particular round. And in the far background, other Chariots have moved in on the Blackguard and the Death Hag. So this is going to be a very, very crucial turn indeed. Let's go to the next photo. So a bit of a close-up on the King here. It became my magic phase, and I went to use urgency, but he blocked it wisely with his Dispel dice, so preventing me from killing his Chariot, allowing him to get some moves in with the Chariot later to attack the Princess unit or the Carrion or whatever. But looking very cool, and this is a very cool photo, but unfortunately I didn't really manage to execute the plan there with the King. At least I drew some dice. Next picture, a look from his side of the board at my side of the board where the Harpies are. His Witch Elves are moving around the side. They've got Frenzy, and they've got like a Death Hag in there as well with Manbane and the extra D3 attack. So she is a bitch in combat, as you can imagine. And I've moved my Tomb Guard over around to charge against the Harpies to try and clear them out of the way so they don't charge my Catapult or my Casket, which would be devastating potentially. Next picture, wow. So this is the brutal combat here. The Prince's unit totally fluffed their attacks on the Spearmen and didn't manage to wipe them out or break them, so that's devastating. I'm in a really bad way because of that. But the trade-off is that the other unit of 3 Naked Chariots did